At the Takeda ranch, a girl named Rie Makita is unwittingly being held hostage by a man named George Takigawa. Lupin whisks her away, though she's none too happy about it. Takigawa chases them, but thanks to Jigen's shooting taking out their tyres, they're able to escape. Rie's anger sends them over a cliffside, however, and she flees. Lupin explains to Jigen that Rie is the daughter of his father's safecracking partner, Ken, and he's rescuing her as a favour. They catch up to Rie in a barn, but by this point she's called the police, meaning they now also have Zenigata to worry about. Lupin tells Jigen to meet with Ken while he escorts Rie. Zenigata catches up to Lupin, but Takigawa, knowing Rie is as good as free with him, shoots at the police and allows Lupin to escape using a train. Lupin manages to get the better of two henchmen that attack, but Rie overhears them talk about safecracking, though doesn't get a straight answer from Lupin. Zenigata has the police set the track to another route, but through sheer luck they ride through a forest and land on another track. Takigawa tries blowing up part of the track, though this just sends Lupin and Rie flying off the train. Rie finds a photo of her father in Lupin's jacket and realises the truth. Lupin calms her down by telling her to talk with Ken about it in person. He finally takes care of Takigawa using an improvised bow and arrow. Spotting the army, also in conjunction with the police to catch him, he tells Rie to mention that he ran due to the security and not to mention Takigawa. She follows this and is reunited with her father. This one definitely strays into more of a Miyazaki type story than a Lupin one. It's not really the first time Lupin's helped out a girl of the week, but it is the first time it's been a focus rather than someone being caught up in a larger plot. No coincidence that this episode and episode 11, the one I'm talking about, have the same writer, I suppose. Gordon, an FBI agent, has donated a computer to the Japanese police that can predict any crime. Zenigata is sceptical about a machine being able to catch Lupin, and Lupin himself doesn't seem impressed either, so he sends a calling card saying he plans to rob 800 million yen from a night train. The computer predicts that Lupin will change a signal light red, replace the drivers, and steal the train en route, which is pretty much what happens. Goemon went too easy on the drivers, and they come to quicker than expected, leading them to head back and setting off Zenigata. The plan is ruined on both sides, but thanks to a foggy road and a hole, Jigen and Goemon are caught. Lupin takes some time to read up on computers, while Gordon reads Lupin's next likely move. It predicts that Lupin will disguise as Gordon, set up a trampoline below room 405, and then have Jigen and Goemon jump down to it. This once again goes as predicted, though Zenigata has to fight the urge to arrest the disguised Lupin. Lupin heads off when the police wait in the cell below and meets with Jigen and Goemon. They're surprised to see him, as a note he left didn't say anything about this. But Lupin says this is just an act of spontaneity on his part to outwit the computer. The police act when they see what they believe to be Jigen and Goemon jumping down. But the bodies are dummies and they end up cuffing the real Gordon as the gang fly off and mock them for being too reliant on a computer's logic and not the human mind. This marks the first usage of Lupin vs technology. Given the nature of the series, it's never going to be if he outwits the technology so much as how. Here we see his own on-the-fly thinking outwitting the computer's full plan. It works for the most part if a bit of a simple solution, and like I said, this definitely won't be the last time Lupin matches wits with tech. While digging a route for a subway, 10 billion yen's worth of gold is discovered. Lupin gets wind of this and contacts the others to meet, though as they do, they note a car following them. Zenigata notes that Lupin will strike no matter what, and in a bit of continuity notes that even though he's caught Lupin twice, he's still managed to get away. Offering his job as collateral, he comes up with one big plan, having used the police to track down Lupin's hideouts. Zenigata raids Lupin's current hideout, but they manage to slip in with the police and escape. Hiding in his family's archive, the gang plan for stealing the gold from the Bank of Japan. Lupin and Goemon dig underneath, while Jigen and Fujiko offer the police drugged meals. Zenigata arrives just in time to see Lupin escape with the gold. If something tends to go too easily, chances are there's a reason, which Lupin realises and discovers tracking devices in some of the coins. Deciding to play Zenigata, he stashes them in a bunch of dump trucks, sending the police's trackers haywire. The gang celebrate and later meet at the dump, but fail to account for the trucks all converging there. Zenigata mocks him for his mistake and moves in, but Lupin warns them there's a bomb underneath. The gang jump into their last hideout as it explodes, leaving Zenigata distraught. They survive thanks to using the Crystal Skull technique. More believable here, seeing as it wasn't a nuclear explosion they were trying to block. And also using oil drums. As the gang discuss what to do with the money, Zenigata finds them and vows to chase them no matter where they go as they swim away. There's a good sense of finality to this episode, as well as it just being a good story overall. We also get one final thing you learn about the characters, namely Zenigata's resistance to tranquilizers, seeing as he's active before most of the police force. On top of that, as a finale, it also provides a good amount of wiggle room in order to bring more episodes in should they ever decide to come back to the series, which, obviously, they will. So, that's Series 1. It started off a bit weak, but managed to gain momentum and delivered a strong finish. You can certainly see the groundwork being laid for what comes in the more well-known iterations of Lupin the more episodes you see. I think it could have done with a better choice for an introductory episode, as I've noted before, but at least you do get a good read on everyone as time goes on. An odd thing I did notice is that there seemed to be a bit of a pendulum swing of sorts going on in terms of tone, with Lupin having a certain ruthlessness in earlier episodes that he more or less loses in the last third or so, possibly due to Miyazaki's influence. There are also little things one can appreciate, such as Lupin's obvious high regard for his family. We see glimpses of this in scenes such as Fujiko goading him into stealing diamonds by invoking Arsene's name, or the care he treats Arsene's statue with when stealing from the France Fair, as well as Episode 7 and the reason for wanting to steal the Zantetsuken scrolls. All in all, I'd say this series is worth watching if you're interested in seeing where Lupin comes from, or if you want to hear Chikao Otsuka in his younger days. With my personal episode choices being 4, 5, 7, 8, 10, 15 and 23 if I had to narrow it down. Next time, Series 2 begins. Until then,